Breakfast. BBC Radio Devon. When I were a lad, they used to say, you have a job for life, son. You have a job for life. Not anymore. Have you ever considered a change of career? Well, our next guest hasn't done it once or twice, but 3 times. 3 very different careers as well. Having had an impressive time in the Royal Marines, then in financial services, David Butler decided to say goodbye to all the board meetings and long lunches to become a physics teacher. And he's now working at Torquay Academy. Before another school day begins, we've managed to get a moment with him, and hopefully we're going to speak to him before he changes his job again. Good morning, David.
Morning, Shep.
Not only is that a very impressive career, but these are 3 very different fields.
Yeah, definitely. But challenging, all 3 of them very challenging.
And you've done them all justice at a very high level, and you've had to make the bridge, I suppose, between them. For anybody who is considering a career move, what is that like to completely throw something successful up in the air and see where it lands?
It's frightening. So the decision making's the hardest bit. Deciding to do that, going through all the pros and cons. That's where I think I certainly felt the most stress. But once the decision was made and the moves were put in place, then it's just a positive look forward and embrace the new challenges.
In your case, David, was it the lure of something new, or was it frustration with the present that caused the moves? I
don't think it was frustration. I think what caused the moves were personal circumstances at the time, and I think I've had really fulfilling careers in each one of the different career choices I've had. But I felt that because of my own personal home circumstances at the time, it was time for a change. So there were a number of different things that applied. So, for example, shifting away from my career in consulting to teaching was precipitated by my parents passing away over the course of a couple of years, and quite traumatic, and going through the whole process of grief and finding it very difficult to continue running my own business. And so I felt I needed to make a change and looked at different options. And one of the things that struck a chord with me, because I'm quite a romantic at heart, so through my life I've always wanted to do things that have made a difference. And I thought, well, a couple of people said you'd make quite a good teacher, actually. And I looked at my qualifications and my degree, and I thought, you know what, I'll have a look at this. And it just then precipitated, and I felt like sort of like a calling to try and make a difference and allow youngsters the opportunities that I've had in life by becoming a teacher and supporting that. So each change I've had has always had something that's driven it beyond sort of just frustration or, being bored or whatever.
I think, David, a lot of people will be listening to you now and will be envious of your ability to act on those instincts, because they may feel that they're being held back by inhibitions about perhaps not being the right person, not having the right skills for a new career, or even, dare I say, being a little bit too old. That feeling that we all have of, will somebody want me in a new job at my age? What would you say to anybody who's experiencing those thoughts?
I think that you always have I must admit, every time I've changed, I've always had that, that feeling of, actually it's terrified to a certain extent, of stepping into the unknown and not understanding what it is. But the important thing is to talk to people and get a clear understanding of, do I have the skills? Do I have the experience to make a difference in the new career change? So, there are certain careers where stepping into them can prove to be challenging. I used to work in financial services. If you were thinking, I've got no experience in financial services, but I fancy being an investment banker, and I'm in my late 40s, then you might get advice from people to say that would be a crazy option. But certainly the changes I've made sort of fitted quite naturally, and teaching is one of those where there's a real need in this country for people of all different backgrounds and ages and experiences to take up the torch and be a teacher. We are desperately short of teachers, and there are so many different ways into teaching, and it makes a massive difference. Every teacher makes a difference to the children that they teach. It's a wonderful career choice and quite an easy one to do.
A lot of people don't like change. We live in a safety net and we surround ourselves with things that make us feel comfortable about our lives. What would you say to somebody who would never normally consider making a career change about the benefits it might bring to them?
I mean, there's anecdotally, there's lots of benefits. I mean, it's making a career change and doing something new it's almost like it shocks your body and your brain into learning, and you go into a new learning curve. And there's a lot of neuroscience behind the fact that as you get a bit older, doing something that's different and new causes your brain to sort of reinvigorate itself. And there's a lot of research into the impact that might have on staving off some of the sort of chronic brain diseases like dementia. Being able to retrain your brain to do something else rather than allow it to do. And it sort of makes sense, doesn't it? It's about trying something new. There's lots of people talk about learning a language when you're a bit older, or picking up an instrument and learning to play an instrument when you're older. But doing a career change is okay. There's quite a bit more riding on it. But at the end of the day, it's doing something different, stepping into the unknown to a certain extent, and that's not a bad thing. A bad thing.
I wish you were my teacher, David. Brilliantly inspirational words from David Butler, head of career changes, now physics teacher here in Devon. And I hope that's inspired anybody who is feeling either discontent with their current situation or has got something that they would like to do. Have you got something that you're absolutely itching to do, but perhaps you're lacking in the confidence to get there? Hopefully David's words have helped you a bit with that.